Alright class, so today we are dealing with volume. Volume now refers to the amount of space that a substance or object occupies, alright, or that is enclosed within a container. So basically it is everything inside of the solid, alright. For SEA we deal with cubes and cuboids. Volume is measured in cubic centimeters or cubic meters. And this is where we use the cm with the little tree on top and the m with the little tree on top to represent cubic meters or centimeters respectively. So first we will start off with the volume of a cube. And to calculate the volume of a cube, the formula to calculate volume of a cube is equal to side multiplied by side multiplied by side. The reason we multiply side multiplied by side multiplied by side because we know that the properties of a cube, all 6 faces are made up of identical squares. So that means all the 12 edges are equal. All right. So let's use an example here. All right. So let's say we have this cube here. And the dimensions for this cube, let's say we know the side is 5 centimeters. To calculate the volume of this cube, we apply the formula. So volume is equal to side multiplied by side multiplied by side, which is equal to 5 centimeters multiplied by 5 centimeters multiplied by 5 centimeters. So 5 multiplied by 5 is 25, multiplied by 5 is 125 centimeters cubed. What this means is that the capacity of this cube, so everything is inside this cube here, will give us a volume of 125 centimeters cubed. All right, we know that if one side is 5 centimeters, all other sides will also equal to 5 centimeters with a cube. So let's say they give you now the volume of the cube, and you need to calculate now one side of the cube when given volume. To calculate one side of the cube when given its volume, it would be what we know as the cube root. So we use a square root sign and we put a 3 on the outside here to represent the cube root of the volume. So what this means, to solve for the cube root of something, is basically saying what number multiplied by itself 3 times will give you that volume or that answer. So if we have now the volume of the cube is equal to 27 centimeters cubed. One side, based on what the formula said, is the cube root of the volume, which is equal to the cube root of 27 centimeters cubed. And the number that multiplies by itself 3 times to give it 27 would be 3. So we know it's 3 centimeters. because 3 multiplied by 3 is equal to 9. 9 multiplied by 3 is equal to 27. So we know it has to be 3. And that is how to find the length of one side of the cube when given its volume. Now, we are moving on now to a cuboid. With a cuboid, we have the length, the width, and the height. So we have the length, the width, and the height of a cuboid. Alright, cuboid can be made up of all rectangles, alright, and it could also be made up with squares and rectangles, alright, but all 6 faces are not the same, alright. So to the formula to calculate the volume of a cuboid, we have volume is equal to the length multiplied by the width multiplied by the height. So let's use an example. Let's say using this cuboid we have on top here. Let's say the length was 7 centimeters, the width was 5 centimeters, and the height we have 3 centimeters. So plugging in now these values into the formula, it would be 7 centimeters multiplied by 5 centimeters multiplied by 3 centimeters. 7 multiplied by 5 is 35. 35 times 3 is 105 centimeters cubed. And that is the formula on how to solve for the volume of a cuboid. So if they give us now the volume, so let's say we have our cuboid. Alright, we have our cuboid. They give you the volume. They give you the width, and they give you the height, but they did not give you the length, and you need to solve for the length. Let's say they told you the volume is equal to 105 centimeters cubed, and now you need to solve for the length. To solve for the length, it is equal to the volume divided by the width multiplied by the height. So let's plug in those values from the example we have here now. So the volume is 105 centimeters cubed. The width is 5 centimeters. And the height, 3 centimeters. So we have here now that is 105 divided by 15. 5 by 3, 15. So that will give us 7 centimeters. All right. Now that is to solve for length when given volume, the width, and the height. Let's do our next scenario. Let's say they gave us the volume again. They gave us the width, no, the length this time. Let's say they gave us the length to be 7 centimeters. They did not give us the width. and they gave us the height, right, to 3 centimeters. How do we solve for the width? To solve for the width, that is equal to the volume divided by the length multiplied by the height. So let's substitute the values now into the formula. The volume we know was 105 centimeters cubed, divided by the length was 7 centimeters, multiplied by the height, which is 3 centimeters. 7 3 is 21, 105 divided by 21, that will give us 5 centimeters. So we know that the width is equal to 5 centimeters. Moving on to our next scenario. Again, we have our cuboid. To give us the volume, they gave us the length. Let's say the length is 7 centimeters. They gave us the width, which is 5 centimeters, but it did not give us the height. We want to solve for the height. To solve for the height, it is equal to the volume divided by the length multiplied by the width. So substituting these values here now, let's work it out. The volume we know was 105 centimeters cubed, divided by the length, which is 7 centimeters, multiplied by the width, which is 5 centimeters. So that's 105 divided by 35, which will give us 3 centimeters. All right. And there are other ways in which we could test volume. We can test volume by stacking. All right. So sometimes they may give you a box, and then within this box now, it may have smaller cubes within this cube here, forming the volume of the shape, the cuboid. All right. So what we need to do in a scenario like this is count the number of cubes that form the length the number of cubes that form the width and the number of cubes that form the height, and we can find the volume. All right. So you just need to manipulate the equations to be able to solve the relevant questions.